You're watching the Reddit Ranger. This is r/DNDStories, where OP's party gets in way over their heads. A battle that took 2 sessions. Context. The party is made up of the following: a half-elf ranger, female, martial blade level 6, aka me, a human ranger, male hunter, DMPC, level 6, a dragonborn paladin, female, a DMPC, level 2, and her trusty pseudo-dragon familiar Figment, a bright maid warlock, celestial patron, female, level 6, a squirrel person warlock, incubus patron, female, level 6, human wizard male, level 6, half-elf fighter male, champion, level 6, and a snow elf rogue female, level 6. Our party had taken a job from a small town to eradicate a tribe of bandits in the nearby woods who had initially been beneficial to travelers but had turned to robbing, abducting, killing, etc. These bandits were known to ingest a brew that essentially puts them into a barbarian rage and were known to gather every full moon. There was estimated to be about 30 of them. We decided to set up an advanced camp a week in advance to begin tracking them down and eradicating them in detail. This succeeded with one group of 4, 2 of whom we captured and interrogated before we had to return to town, only for some random event to force us to divert to something main quest related for 3 days, which involved Snow Elf Rogue joining the party as she was a newcomer. We returned to the town and managed to convince the guards to send some of their men out with us to man the camp on the understanding that we would bring any bandits we captured alive back to hand over to them. We took down another group of 8 bandits, capturing one of them and rescuing some traveling bards they'd taken captive. That night we were attacked by another group of 4 werewolves. Luckily nobody died thanks to the guards and our party sleeping in shifts with several people up and on watch at a time. For the final day when they were expected to meet, the party went out to scout the grove which we had identified as the meeting spot. We found that we were outnumbered almost 2 to 1, but many of the bandits had been drinking heavily from 2 barrels in the middle of the camp. So we made a plan in which Squirrel Person Warlock would infiltrate the camp under an invisibility spell, while Bright Maid Warlock Familiar would observe the camp under the same spell and report back to her owner, keeping us updated on how the plan went. It went to hell in a handbasket. Squirrel Person Warlock was found out due to some very bad stealth rolls. She had a good modifier, but just a lot of bad luck, and ended up trying to pass herself off as a wandering bard, only for all of her chattering to annoy the bandit leader into shutting her up. The rest of us tried to fight the urge to go down and help her until one of the bandits made an explicit threat of a sexual nature, though the DM assured us that this had actually been a bluff by the bandits to see if she had any allies nearby who would leap to her rescue if they thought she was in danger. Spoiler alert, it worked. Luckily, we'd had a loose plan for what to do if it came to this. Snow Elf Rogue and I launched smoke arrows into the camp to disorganize the bandits and give Squirrel Person Warlock a chance to get away. What followed was a long slog uphill as we fought against superior numbers bolstered by 2 druids and 2 werewolves. What saved us was a whole lot of luck. Squirrel Person Warlock used her wings, Succubus Curse, to fly up over the smoke, but then made the questionable decision to spend a turn trying to shoot down at bandits at a disadvantage, allowing one of the druids to use a wind spell to disperse the smoke and knock her back to the ground. She later got some distance on him, but spent most of the fight trying to fight off 2 rabid werewolves who kept trying to maul her. Luckily, she didn't catch lycanthropy and got back in the air, where she used her glaive to attack the werewolves while they couldn't reach her. Bright Maid Warlock took shelter behind the Dragonborn Paladin, in-game girlfriend, and took pot shots with Eldritch Blast while using her race-based healing light to keep some of us on our feet. She did get a few moments of complete awesomeness, which included literally kicking the bandit's heavy fighter in the gonads so hard that he died of internal bleeding, oh my god, as well as killing several more bandits with Eldritch Blast. Human Wizard made great use of Fireball when the bandits bunched up enough, and still did a great job of blinding and deafening the enemy druids to keep them out of the game at the right time. He earned a few kills himself, one of them actually in melee combat. Half-Elf Fighter was taken down a little over halfway through the fight, in the second session it stretched into, but went down fighting with a couple kills under his belt. At that point his curse, which made him undead, caused him to rise as an undead berserker who killed and literally ate an entire bandit. This also terrified some of the surrounding bandits into fleeing, making the rest of the fight much easier for us. Wow, this sounds chaotic. Human Ranger and I spent most of the fight watching one another's backs against one of the enemy druids and several bandits. But luckily, Human Ranger's curse gave him claws, which he put to good use, while my character's archetype allowed her to wield a longsword to great effect. Then, as we cleared all but the druid and one of his bandit friends out, the two werewolves turned their attention towards us, only to accidentally attack the bandit. I was able to take one of the werewolves down as they fed on their allies' remains, and SwordOfTheNineHells Warlock killed the other when he'd gotten back up to resume the fight. Human Ranger single-handedly took down the druid. Snow Elf Rogue wisely stayed back through the majority of the fight, making use of her magic arrows to debilitate or badly damage key enemy targets. She was to thank for the majority of the damage done to the werewolves as well as the druid. Between this and setting half of the surrounding forest on fire, we were able to kill about 14 of the enemy group, while another 4 fled. We found out that they had some captives among their camp and rescued them while putting out the fire. With the druids who made the special rage brew dead, the reserve supply burned up in the air, and most of the tribe killed, our mission was considered a success. But this fight had looked like something that we would be lucky to walk away from. Yeah, no kidding. Up next is a multi-part epic from SwordOfTheNineHells. The Masks of Destiny, Chapter 1, The Beginning. There is always a beginning and an end. As time slowed and I flew backwards in slow motion, I looked to my left. Carolus is there, flying backwards with me, a shocked look on his face. I look to my right. Each movement is painfully slow. On my right side is Kaelin. I look back in front of me. My sword and shield drift just out of reach. Standing near the edge of the cliff is a figure shrouded in cloaks and mist. They are looking over the mountains into the vast world beyond. I can't see their face, not that I wanted to. Behind the figure is someone else, kneeling down, seemingly praying. Suddenly, a horrible feeling grasps me as I grow weaker and weaker. I can see thin wisps of something like smoke drift out and away from, collecting into an orb of swirling smoke in front of my eyes. I feel weak. My eyes start to feel heavy and close. The last thing I see is the figure turning around at us all and grinning. The world goes dark. 5 years prior. I'll take another one, someone shouts as they slam their now empty cup onto the bar's countertop. A waiter quickly runs into the back room with the cup to supposedly get more for the man. I'm sitting in a very rowdy tavern with my friend Kaelin Merrick, a wood elf druid about 5'5". She sits next to me politely sipping her cup of tea, as druids do. Her staff and shield strapped to her back along with her supplies. I am a 7'8" Wanti Malison fighter with a snake head and a gallon of ale in front of me. I have my trusty sword and shield buckled to my back along with my 2 hand axes on my belt. I'm listening to the music the bard is playing and just enjoying myself. Finally, some time to just relax, I think, smiling. Kaelin, at a young age, was taken in by an archfey and raised to become a druid in the Feywild. She recently has come to the material plane to explore and find adventure. My name is Shaskane, just Shaskane. I was a 4th-ranking commander of the Cobra Legion for my tribe, the Eustagas. Before, on a scouting mission, it was reported that a portal had opened up near our sacred gardens. My legion and I went to investigate, and I got too close. Astral winds from the astral plane pulled me into the portal, and it had closed behind me. I drifted in that hellhole for days, months, heck, maybe even years. I don't know how long, but eventually I came upon another portal leading me back to the material plane, which deposited me in a grassland. I wandered for a while before I came across Kaelin and we teamed up. It's been about a year since that now, and we have traveled to about 4 different towns looking for adventure. "Hello, big fella," a voice says, breaking in my thoughts. I turn around and see the bard standing there. "You look tough," he says, "and the young lass over there looks mighty powerful." I notice he is constantly smiling. "Why, thank you," a lighthearted voice pipes in. I know it to be Kaelin. I grunt. Not really the talking type. It's almost like the bard read my mind. "Not much of a talker, are ya?" he claims with a sly grin. "Well, hear me out. My name is Omar, and I know of somewhere with lots of treasure." He hops from one foot to the next, obviously excited. "Only problem is that I can't go there alone, as it is a home." To a manticore. Whatever you're going to say next, forget it, Kalen says. We accept. Omar smiles. I thought you might say that. Now, I would like 1/4 of the treasure in exchange for me singing songs about you two across the lands. That is actually quite worth the while, I say to no one in particular. It is, isn't it? Omar exclaims. Now meet me here tomorrow morning and we shall set off. After a bit more drinking and hanging around at the bar, we decide to resign for the night and head off to our separate route. The next morning, after a restful sleep, we get up early and head down to the tavern. As we walk in, we see that Omar is already there and still has that big smile plastered across his face. He has a banjo on his back and a cup of coffee in his hand. He finishes the coffee and sets it down on a nearby table. Are you ready? He asks. Of course you are. Silly me for asking. Follow my lead. And he marches out the door. Kalen and I follow him, and he starts to lead us into the forest to the east of town. So where exactly is this manticore's home? I inquire. It's beyond this forest. You'll see, Omar responds with glee. We continue into the forest where we don't meet any unwelcome people, though at the slightest noise from the bushes, my hand is at my longsword. We walk for about 3 miles before the trees give way to a ravine. In the ravine's walls are caves. Hundreds to thousands of them, stretching all the way down for miles. Well, here we are, Omar says. Now all we gotta do is find the right cave. He grins like it was a funny joke. You're kidding, right? Kalen and I exclaim in desperation. Not one bit, he responds with, obviously laughing inside. Well, we should get to it then, and by we, I mean you two. I groan. Kalen face palms. I look at all the caves again and think, no better way to start than from the first one. That was r/D&D Stories. Now, if you want to catch all future segments of The Mask of Destiny, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, because I'm going to be posting them all right here on the Reddit Ranger.